What's up, guys? Time for another disc golf video. Man, it is gorgeous right now. It just rained, so nobody's out currently. So my plan for today's video is kind of a sidearm tutorial slash sidearm discussion, okay? So just so you guys know, when I first started playing disc golf, I only threw sidearm. I've been a baseball player for a very, very long time, and it was just kind of a motion that I was used to. And so when I first started playing disc golf, I never threw backhands except for like putting, and maybe in some very weird situations. But as I've desired to get better at the sport, I started focusing on backhand because I know it gives you more distance, more variety of shots, all that kind of stuff. But sidearm is still a very, very big part of my game. So today, we're going to talk about that. I'm going to throw lots of different shots from the sidearm position that can be used in different ways, and we're going to kind of just talk about those, okay? So if you're someone who wants to work on your sidearm, you want to get better at it, you don't currently throw sidearm, any of that kind of stuff, today's video is for you, so let's get into it. All right, so we're going to go over a couple of shots here just from this tee pad, and we're just going to talk about what I'm doing. So this first one, I am going to be throwing a felon, and you'll see this is kind of beat in, but you can see that it goes really, really straight and then fades right at the end. That's what felons do, especially once they get beat in. They'll hold that line really, really well. Now, this is my stag, and I love this. This is a hyzer flip shot here, which is crazy with the sidearm. You throw it out, and it ends up coasting left. So you guys saw that I threw that out on a hyzer. It flipped up to flat and then went left. Now, right here, that's actually a raider. And you can see how fast that fought to the right. So you want to do a flex shot with something like that. Try and turn it over as much as you can. That was the goal with that one. Right here, I've got a world, which is pretty beat in. So I can actually make it go left a little bit. And I put too much spin on this. It nicks this tree and then literally ends up being one of the best shots I've had on this hole. It was really funny. That's why I glared at the camera right here like, what? Freaking ridiculous. So here's the felon again. I'm going to show you guys a really good release. With a lot of discs, you want to release them perfectly flat. Watch this. So this thing is going to come out perfectly flat right there. Maybe a little bit of anhyzer on it, like barely any. And since it's a little beat in, that's why you saw it go a little bit to the left and then pan out to the right. But the goal is to throw the disc flat and let it do what it's designed to do. That's the biggest thing that you guys can do. Now, one thing that I want to make clear before we keep going here is that I throw my sidearms a little bit different than most people do. I started off learning throwing with one finger. Most pros you'll see them get both of their fingers in here. Now that's really good for distance. And if you're just learning to throw, I would say learn this. Learn with two fingers in there, get used to it. For me, I learned with one finger, and so I feel the most comfortable and precise with one finger. And honestly, the only difference that I can think of that moving up to two fingers will get me is more distance. And a lot of times my backhand isn't a distance shot. It's something that I want to be precise. And so I will always throw my sidearms like this. I can still get big distance out of it, or at least good distance, probably around 350, close to 400 sometimes. And so for me, that's how I'm throwing. I feel like I can be more precise with one finger. Whenever you have two fingers in here, it does feel a little more secure, at least when you're holding it, and you can get more power because you can produce more torque off of two fingers and the power those are bringing than one. So if you are learning for the first time or whatever, I would say use two fingers and progress and learn that way. It doesn't really change the effect on your shot. It's just whether or not you're comfortable throwing with one or throwing with two. All right, so there's a couple of different types of forearms or forehands, sidearms, whatever the heck you want to call it, that I throw. The first is obviously just a basic sidearm, where you throw the disc flat and straight and allow it to do what it's designed to do. That's one of the biggest tips that I can give you guys when you're throwing sidearm, is throw the disc flat and straight and let it do what it's designed to do. Don't make it do what it's designed to do. Like a lot of times if there's a dog leg right, kind of like this hold that I'm throwing on right here, if I throw my felon on a hyzer, as if I want it to go to the right, because I do want it to go to the right, but I don't want it to go to the right too early, if I throw it on hyzer thinking in my head, oh, I want this to go right, I'm going to hit trees, and I'm not going to hit the line that I want to hit. And that's something that I'm still having to work on. I've talked about it in videos before as well. Know what your disc does. So research the numbers. If it's a -1.1 or whatever, it's probably gonna fly pretty straight. If it's a 1.4 or a 0.3, something like that, it's gonna go to the right very quickly, unless you put a lot of force on it or try and turn it over and things like that. And so generally what I would say, when you're throwing a sidearm, throw it flat and straight and learn what it does when you do that. You don't want to throw it, besides very specific shots, you don't want to throw it any other way to make it do what you want. Now, when it comes to flex shots, obviously you're not throwing it flat. You're not throwing that designed how it's meant to be thrown, which is flat and straight, let it do what it's going to do. And this is where it starts to get really, really fun, especially with scrambling. You guys will see that I threw a Raider, and I also threw a brand new Sheriff, both of which are high-speed drivers. The Sheriff being brand new is pretty overstable, but you'll see that I throw those on a pretty hard anhyzer, and they come back quick. But that's how you can get a lot of distance. You can make super cool lines as you're throwing through the woods doing that, which is always a lot of fun to throw like that. So my biggest thing when it comes to tips for throwing sidearms is throw it flat and straight and let the disc do what it's going to do. Next tip I would say is have fun experimenting with it, especially with understable discs and overstable discs. You can throw hyzer flips with a sidearm and make the disc go to the left if you get an understable disc. Like you guys will see the Stag that I'm throwing here. I throw it off on a hyzer, I give it a lot of spin, I give it a lot of good torque, it flips up to flat, and then it floats down to the left. Now obviously once it runs out of speed, it's going to come back down to the right. Also, if I throw like I said, the Sheriff or the Raider on a pretty hard anhyzer, it's going to make some pretty cool lines. And so that can help you so much when scrambling. I'm telling you guys, if you find yourself in the woods a lot and you're looking for a way to get out, throwing sidearms is one of the best things that you can do, because a lot of times you might want the disc to go right to left and you're right-handed, and you just don't have the lie to throw it backhanded. So you have to throw a sidearm. So what do you do in that scenario? Well, if the basket is all the way down to the left, then you want to choose a more understable disc or a more beat-in disc and throw it on an anhyzer, give it a lot of spin, and let it just hold that all the way down. Now, if the fairway from your lie goes left and then right, what do you want to do? You want to grab an overstable driver or mid-range, whatever, and you want to throw it out on an anhyzer, give it some air so that it has time to do its flight, throw it out, and let it make that line. Let it make it happen. And as you get out and you explore, you're going to learn so many different things with the sidearm that can help you get out of those situations. So I would encourage you to walk out to a course like I am right now, and you can tee off, obviously, and all that kind of stuff, but walk over to the left side of the fairway, stand behind a tree, and be like, I'm going to figure out how I can get close to the basket from here. And throw a sidearm. Throw it up, throw it down, whatever you need to do in order to get close to the basket. I want to keep on throwing some discs here, showing you guys some different flight paths, and hopefully y'all can learn a little bit of something about throwing sidearm, and you can get a little bit better at it, as I'm trying to work on as well. So right here, I'm throwing a Sampo on a little bit of a hyzer. You can see it flip up to flat, and then right out down to the right. Really, really good shot. I was super, super happy with that one. Yeah, that was a solid line right there. And then next, we've got the Sampo here again, throwing it a little bit higher, but still out on that hyzer. You can see it coming to the left and then going back over to the right, hitting a couple trees and falling down. I really love the flight path of that disc right now. And then here we've got a Felon. You can see it pop up and pretty much just hold its line all the way down. Well guys, I hope that y'all learned a lot from today's episode. I'm still working on my sidearm and trying to learn, but one thing that I've noticed is the more that I try to make shots happen with sidearms, I can make it happen. I can scramble, I can make the disc go left, I can make the disc go right, I can make the disc do a flex, all these sorts of things. And it really is a versatile tool to have. So I'd really encourage you guys to work on your sidearm if you haven't, because it's a huge part of my game now. Again, a couple of tips is throw the disc straight and let it do what it's designed to do. Your disc is designed to specifically fly in a specific manner. Let it do that, and learn about it. Learn about that flight path. Secondly, I would say that you need to try shots. You need to try and have fun. You need to try and come up with cool flights. And then when you see the disc do that, you'll be like, oh wow, I didn't know that it could do that. And it'll make you a better player with more tools in your bag. And then lastly, I would also say, like, you don't need a big run up to throw a sidearm well. I would encourage you guys to use it as a tool, not necessarily for distance. Eventually it can become a distance thing. Who knows? Eventually it can become a distance thing. But I would just encourage you guys to throw sidearms, not from a standstill, but more like from a walk-up. At least that's what I always do, because it gives you a little bit more control as you're trying to throw and as you're trying to make the disc do what it is designed to do. So again, hope you guys learned something. Let me know how y'all sidearms are going, and see you on the next video.